Whew, yep, it's that time of the month where I get to take a little bit of a break, talk about a lot of the animes that's currently airing right now in 2025, and actually go to a little bit of some back history, actually to celebrate 10 years of a show that, if you already read the title, is about prison school. A show that, for when it came out back in 2015, and the show has marked 10 years officially in the month of July since it first aired, it's a show that is pretty infamous, pretty big, still to an extent is referenced and talked about to this day. And I want to go over like why Prison School has aged in a really weird and interesting way. So, bear with me as I'm going to try my best to kind of tippy toe around why Prison School is a must watch anime for you trashy connoisseurs alike. So, as you can tell, Prison School. This was an anime that came out back in the summer 2015 season by JC Staff Studios. JC freaking Staff Studios. They were on an interesting trajectory when it comes to what they were known for the anime industry. They were known for coming out with some of the best animes out there, but some of the worst animes out there, and then somehow some of the best trashiest animes out there. And if I scroll through like what they're known for here, I could go on and on about what they are known for. But somehow, some way, in 2015, they really hit like a slam dunk with not only Prison School being one of the best trashiest animes of that year, but we also got another show which I will also be talking about eventually with this show called Shimonita, a born world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist. Another show by JC Staff that also has aged in such a weird and interesting way that for me to talk about both of these shows at the same time on video is a little bit criminal, which is why that for today we're going to be talking about Prison School and Prison School only. And first and foremost, what is Prison School? What is the show all about? Well, for anyone who has not remembered what Prison School was all about, or for anyone that's curious to watch Prison School, it's essentially about how it's about five guys, being all the main characters you see here, with Takahito, Kiyoshi, Reggie, Joji, and Shingo, who essentially enroll in this all-girls school, where it's basically a population of 200 girls and five boys as the premise of the show. And as a result, it's no longer an all girls school, it's all a 99% girls school, and then like a little mere smidgen 1% of like boys there. And pretty much the boys are ecstatic, they're crazy, they're like, oh my god, how we got to this private academy because this is like a really hard school to get into. And somehow, some way, these boys had broken the one cardinal sin when it comes to going to an all private girls school, and that's to peep at naked girls while they're at a fucking bathtub or some shit like that, or in this case, a gym. But essentially, that's how the premise goes. Where it's like we have these five boys, they get transferred to an academy, and next thing you know, just when you think they're all happy-go-lucky, the school life's going to be amazing, nope, they get tracked down by the worst degenerate of the underground student council, composed of three big elite student council members in this anime with Hana Morikawa, Mari Kurihara, and Meiko Shiraki, which is three names, three faces that I'm pretty sure that for anyone who has watched Prison School or seen memes flowing around about this show, you know their faces the moment I show you guys what they're all about. But these three essentially find the five peepers that are peeping at the girls. They're found guilty, and as a result, they are now thrown into prison within the school, where they're subjugated to humiliation. They're stuck in prison clothes, and they're stuck with punishment for one whole month. And that's basically the premise of the show in a nutshell. And during this 1 month session, which is comprised of 12 episodes, of course, it's about the boys essentially trying to find ways to break out of prison, break out of getting out of the hard labor they're in, while simultaneously we have characters like Hana and Mako just pushing and backbreaking these poor boys over to the fact that they did a cardinal sin, which is peeping, which no one wants peeping to be done. But the show itself doesn't really stop there, of course. We see a lot of really interesting moments where the friendship between certain of the guy characters are tested, per se. Case in point, also, I would like to add that some of the character designs of the show may not have aged all too well because keep in mind, this is an anime from 2015, which is understandable. And sometimes some of the scenes can be a little bit grotesque. Case in point, I heard there's some. With this character here, Takehito Gagato Gak Marukazu. Um, Basically, the brains of the operation, one of the many best friends that is friends to the main character show, Kyoshi Fujino, who again, there's a particular scene here that I don't want to reenact, of course, but there's a scene that involves these two characters, and they're in the bathtub, and they're kind of dropping the soap, and it's like it ends like this weird raunchy scene where one friend thinks that they like each other over another, and it's like they took it too far. It's really weird. It's really outlandish. But the show also dives into what I consider a lot of borderline hentai moments. And I mean this sincerely. This is a show that like if you watch this in its full uncensored version, there's a ton of moments in the show where you're gonna see a lot of raunchy and really weird fetishes that are played in this show that if I try to describe them, I feel like I'm gonna get canceled off of YouTube. But let's just say that in this show, there are moments where our main girls here, to an extent, like showcase a lot more than just their busty, sexy figures. To the point where there's like a ton of crazy scenes with Mako Shiraki in this instance, where she's wearing some really crazy, raunchy, just skimpy outfits. To the point that like her main attraction is just wrestling and be able to like wrestle a ton of tough guys, which is like her fetish. Hana, who's like the sadistic person who likes to just punch the fuck out of people and like try to give them their lunch money. And then Mari, who is essentially just like the level-headed brow person of like keeping things low key, keeping things like consistent, but also making sure that there's order in the fucking court when it comes to teaching these boys a lesson. And don't get me wrong, they teach them a fucking lesson big time. And there's some pretty big moments I could go on and on about. But believe me when I say that Prison School, for the time that it came out, this show was really sexy and raunchy, and in my view, pretty ahead of its time because prior to shows that like this coming out, there weren't really a lot of like borderline hentai type of animes that came out prior to this. Now, yes, you could probably make an argument that there have been shows that came out from the 90s and maybe in the 2000s that kind of went in this vein and maybe show a lot of like sexy lewdness per se. But I would argue that this was the start of like, whoa, we are finally trying to see mainstream borderline anime that's like close to being a hentai. And there are moments where it really felt like it was gonna break that barrier. But it obviously didn't do that. It wouldn't be a while till we get shows that come out 5 years later down the line that would pretty much go into the same vein that Prince Schools did. For instance, and I've already talked about it in my best animes of 2021, or sorry, best trashy animes of 2021 and 2020, respectfully, there's shows like Ishizoku Reviewers that are pretty infamous to this, to say the least. There's even Redo of a Healer, which, again, need I say more? It's like why this was a trashy anime that was borderline hentai to an extent. Even shows like Roads End Harlem, which, again, keep in mind, like when this, like I said, when Prison School came out, my point being is that this was pretty ahead of its time for like showcasing what was considered a trashy, fun, bad anime. And I think that this show, while some people have considered it hasn't aged all too well, maybe the humor hasn't really caught on to a lot of people, and maybe it's obviously super offensive now in this modern day and age. I still think that the show was unique for what it was trying to go for at the time. And once again, I think that this is a must-watch show. That if you're a trashy, fun, bad, but like to watch like a lot of the mainstream anime kind of stuff that's trying to be close to a hentai, Prison School is pretty much the gift that keeps on giving, man. I cannot name a single show where I think this show really borders into this realm so perfectly and so balancefully in a way. And one more thing to kind of wrap this up too, it's really crazy that a lot of the voice acting into the show, the animation in the show has held up so goddamn well. Like the passion in these voice actings and some of the scenes here is questionable, yes, but god damn it, they put in their best fucking performance, man. I don't know what the fuck happened here, but I can tell they're having a good fucking time when they're recording this anime. And the animation, I, I don't know what the fuck they were on with this shit, but the animation for the show is so goddamn nice. Like, not just the moments where it's like clearly like etchy and borderline hentai, but like the animation itself is so good, so clever. We have art styles that change from left to right every now and then, which is like so crazy and unique for other trashier shows to come out prior to this. And yeah, overall, I think Prison School is a must watch. That like, if you really want to get into this type of genre, this is a show that you should definitely check out. And yeah, to this day, I would still give this thing like a 8 out of 10, and still give it an 8 out of 10 for many years to come. But yeah, just wanted to make this video talking about Prison School, kind of gush over grannies, and maybe repeat the same shit over and over again. Why Prison School is a fun, bad, trashy anime for those who like shows that are similar to like the likes of other trashier shows that's airing at the moment. So yeah, just want to talk about Prison School, and that's about it. I'll see you on the next one. Later.